And a good Thursday, everybody. Welcome in. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, The Game. Chase McCabe here. Big Joe Dubin there. Nick Frazier, a.k.a. Dr. Crane, on the ones and twos. Hope you're having an awesome start to your day. We got a lot to get into. JoJo, how you doing?
Chaser, I'm here, man. It's good to hear from you. Also, it's my daily 902 report. If you could navigate Donaldson Pike during the airport construction, you can drive Formula One. I'm just letting you know that right now. If you've ever wanted to drive Formula One, put down that you've navigated Donaldson Pike, send it to an IndyCar team or Formula One, and you will get hired. I'm telling you right now, it's a disaster. You have to pay attention to every inch of road over there, man. It's something.
You know, that explains something. I've told you that I've been doing the iRacing thing, on the computer. They've added Donaldson Pike as a track, so that explains why.
They should. Yeah.
I drove through there yesterday, and it's certainly. I don't know why Alexa's talking, but hi, Alexa. But
Chaser,
Alexa,
who's over there?
computer off. God,
that's rude. Be nicer.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, it is definitely crazy. I drove through there yesterday, so I feel your pain because you do it every day. So
Yeah,
I don't know how you do
here's
that.
the problem now is that if you go Donaldson Pike, they have lowered the road so it's like parallel to the runway. So I have my attention span's about half a second, and so I see a plane coming in. So you're watching, You're right there basically on the runway. And you watch the plane come in and land, and it's just like I'm still mesmerized at 55 by planes taking off and landing, and you see them land and take off, and it's just fascinating. So that also adds to the distraction over there.
Yeah, no, yesterday they were timed out. There was like 3 of them, and I'm like, okay, I hope I driving right by as one comes through, but it wasn't timed.
What time was
perfectly.
this? I need to figure. Was it?
This was I was on the way to the meeting we went to.
Okay.
So it was about 3:15 probably.
All right. So I need to check the schedule and see what time the plane. All right, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, well, Air JoJo's over there, so I mean, you can, maybe you can plan when you go somewhere that I can
It
be
is.
driving by an air because you won't let me fly with you.
Nope.
So
It's like the president and vice president. They never fly together. So
Yeah.
with us, we have to fly separate. I put you on Spirit Airlines, and I fly Contour. And then we get there about 4 days later. So it's fine.
Did you hear about the
Yeah.
poor kid that got stuck on a Spirit airline flight, was sent to Florida?
yeah, I
Christmas?
saw that.
going?
It was like a Home Alone thing,
Yeah.
basically.
It was on the money.
Was he headed to Florida?
No, he was headed somewhere else. I think maybe New York. I don't know. I'm not reciting Home Alone, but that was the actual situation.
How old's the kid?
Easily probably like 9, 10 years old.
He was like Kevin McAllister. Like I saw the story because it was compared to Home Alone 2 because he was like Kevin McAllister's age.
Oh, nice.
So it literally was like Home Alone happens.
Oh, goodness. Wow. I mean, there's worse places to go.
Just
I
my
still-
odd story of the day.
Yeah.
Whenever these come up, it always brings up we need to have Nick do like odd stories and like present them to us and we talk about them.
Sure.
I have one
would
about a
love
whale
that
if
idea.
you want to hear it.
Yeah. What's the whale?
It's a whale of a story, isn't it?
It is a whale of a story. Scientists have actually been able to communicate with whales in their native language of whatever it is. So that's positive for science.
Well,
I
hold
guess.
on. What?
I was
You
reading
just
about it.
can't read a headline and then leave.
Well, no, they were talking about how they did some investigating with certain, sounds underneath the water, and it can actually reverberate to the way whales can hear things, and it can mean certain signals to certain things.
I hope
So-
the whale responds back with 3 words. I hate you. And that's it. And that's done with it.
It's a cool thing, cool concept.
Okay. All right. That's,
I'm not big into, marine life, but that's kind of a cool thing. Come on, Joe.
you believe in mermaids?
No.
Okay. Just making
Disney?
sure. Just making sure, man. All right.
I mean, I've met a couple that claim to be mermaid. Never mind. That's another story for another day. But yeah, there you go. Marine life. That's your update for today. Do we think Will Levis is going to play?
Yes. No doubt.
You do?
Absolutely. Full participant in practice yesterday. He'll play on Sunday. Story over.
Yeah. I kind of. I I wouldn't be shocked if it was all a smoke screen and Tannehill still goes, but if he's a full participant in practice, then he probably ends up playing.
I think he plays. I mean, it's, again, full participant in practice. If he practices again today, I don't see why he cannot play on Sunday and go down and play spoiler again against the Texans and try to get a win and not collapse in the last second.
I'm just curious of something. I want to ask the people that are listening right now, because to be completely honest with you, I no longer care. I mean, the Titans, we know the end of the book. They're not making the playoffs. And we know that the big story is going to be the offseason. And we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that. So, like, do people care? Like, do people care if Levis plays this weekend or not? Do they care what happens in the game? Are you going to watch the game? Like, I put this on Twitter on Sunday that, you know, I didn't have any interest in actually going to the game, but I still wanted to watch it, even though I knew that they weren't making the playoffs. And then after watching the game, and it basically was a repeat of so many games this year where, oh, the Titans have the lead. Oh, they make you think they got this. And then they blow it and they end up losing in the end anyway. Now it's just completely like I'm just like, whatever. It no longer matters what happens. I don't care, but I feel like I'm obligated to, obviously, because of what we do. I just want to know what the fans actually think. Like, do they care?
I think they care. I mean, they're still invested in this football team. I mean, you see the ratings on the weekend. They're massive. People still pay attention to this football team. They're invested in it. It's their team in Nashville. And, you know, it's a funny thing, though. When they're bad, people react a lot more than when they're good. You know, and we've
Very
seen
true.
that the 25 years they've been here, is that when this team is not good, people love to weigh in, which is fine. I mean, that's, you could do that. But when they're good, a lot of people are silent because, you know, winning solves a lot of things. So when they're good, people kind of like, okay, we'll see how this rides out and all that. But I mean, again, the season's over. Now you go out and you play 2 games with guys who most of them weren't on the roster even 6
I don't know
weeks
who
ago.
half these guys are.
I don't either, man. I have no idea. It's something. It's crazy. But you'll go out and you got to play this weekend and see what happens, and then try to finish the season strong. And, you know, we'll have these boneheads who write in, you know, wait, draft position. The fact that that's still a conversation that you want your team to lose just baffles me beyond any degree.
Yeah, so you want to tune into the game or go to the game and watch them play like crap and lose.
I don't get it.
Which I bet is probably not true. I bet it's like, oh, no, I'm not even watching. So it's like you're checked out too, so what does it matter?
Right. I totally agree. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I don't get the mindset. I really don't get the mindset of let's lose and get a high draft. I mean, one draft pick next year does not guarantee you a Super Bowl. I mean, you need that's why you have 11 players on the team. You know, remember the rage a few weeks ago was Caleb Williams at USC? Now nobody's talking about him. Nobody.
No.
Now it's Drake May who's moved up. And look, Titans got a quarterback. Now move on from this and go out and do what you can do. But all this other stuff is just nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, you need a left tackle. You need a center. You probably need to look at least for the future, the right side, even though I think it's going to be Brunskill and Nicholas Petit-Frere. You need a receiver. You desperately need a corner. Like, they've got to find a shutdown corner, and those don't grow on trees. Anybody, like, I've seen a couple of tweets of, like, people doing their, you know, dream roster for next year for the Titans and, you know, adding a couple of free agents, and they have Christian Fulton re-signing. No, there's no chance. 0% chance that Christian Fulton is back with this football team. He is gone. Gone next year.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely it is. I mean, it's a business. The teams, you know, what, a third of them, almost half of the team will be gone next year. At least a third of them are. So you just kind of rinse and repeat and get somebody else in there to do the job and go forward next year. I mean, free agency's open all that up, and you sign a guy for a year and hope he could do good. I mean, evaluating a free agent is just as important as evaluating as a guy coming out of college. Same thing.
Yeah, and you'll have about $85 million in cap space, which is obviously a lot to work with. And sure, the off-season stuff is interesting. Like, I get into that, like the free agency and trades and, you know, the draft and stuff, but there's still plenty of time for that. It's just I want to know what people's interest level is right now when it comes to the next 2 weeks of are you just watching because you love football and you love the Titans and you're going to stand in there, no matter what happens, or are you watching because it's a train wreck? Like I'm very, very curious of this, of why people, still care.
Well, we did this a long time ago. Tell me a free agent that's left the Titans and gone on to do bigger and better things. Now, I did this probably 5 or 6 years ago, so now it might have changed a little bit. But tell me somebody who's left here that's gone on to become the best at his position, right? So like Adoree Jackson's playing okay for the Giants, all right?
Yeah,
but he was doing that here. Corey Davis did the same thing doing it here. Jack Conklin, injured, was probably playing a little bit better than he did here, but you go down. I mean, who was who got arrested by the Cowboys the linebacker for the
Rashaan Evans?
Yeah.
He got released too.
Yeah, so he got number one draft.
But he wasn't playing great.
No, 2018 he left. They cut him. He goes to the Falcons. Was terrible last year. And so give me a free agent. I don't. I've got to be missing one guy who left here as a Titan free agent and did better elsewhere.
I mean, David Long's had a decent year with Miami.
Okay. But I need more than I need like a better.
Look, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, I
well,
see
you
your
won't raise
point.
your voice to me. So
I see your point. I'm not raising my voice.
Well, just
I see your point. Sorry, Dad. Man, that's a good question.
Dr. Crane shaking his head. He doesn't know either.
Maybe I know AJ Brown signed with the Eagles, but that was a trade.
It was a trade.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
that's trade. I mean, somebody who left here to get more money someplace else who's done better. Javon Curse started out with the Eagles okay, but he got injured. Was never half of what he was here for the Tennessee Titans.
Well, do you count Derek Mason? Because he was cut, but
yeah,
I mean,
okay. There's one.
I
count.
I would say I don't know if you could say that D. Mace's career in Baltimore was better, as a whole as in with the Titans, but he continued it.
Yeah, I think he elevated to another level with the Red. That's a good one. I'll take that one.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Samari Rolle continued playing at a high level, and then he got hurt or had something going on.
Yep,
cut his career short.
Would Ryan Suckup be in this conversation? He left the Titans, went to the Bucks, won a Super Bowl, hurt his hip, and now doesn't. It's a kicker, I get it, but still. Got to that championship caliber up to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Texter rolling in on this. So let's continue this. This is a good question, good discussion. So a Titan that left here and then elevated their game
by free agency, not a
by
trade.
Free agency, no trade. So don't say AJ Brown.
Yeah,
no trades, but just free agency, and we'll count cuts. Because that makes you a free agent. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Up and running on a Thursday. Our buddy Tim Hasselback, usually on the midday show on Tuesdays, with us being off, and he's actually traveling to do a bowl game. He's going to join us at 9:30. So we look forward to talking to Timmy coming up in just a little bit. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jason Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game, broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. And, of course, our show is presented by Regal Realty Group. Asking this question, a Titan that left here via free agency, cuts count, and went to another team and basically elevated their game, played better. There's some good ones coming through. One that you and I probably should have said, 3045 put out there. John Runyon was one of the first that I probably remember. He went on to Philly, played, really good.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that one. I know there's a couple out there that we have left off, but thank you. Yeah. Runyon was great. And now his son plays for him too, I think.
Yeah. Jackson says Cairo Santos. I mean, he just got a big deal in Chicago,
right? I
guess is the kicker.
Kickers don't count.
A few people, David in Murfreesboro, a few others have said Khalif Raymond left here.
No.
He's gone to Detroit. I mean, he's been okay, but I think he's been there what he was here.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, thank you. I mean, it's just he has not elevated himself because he's on a good team is great, but
sure.
The fact he hasn't elevated himself as a player, I'm not buying into that one.
So Matt has an interesting one. Pac-Man. He was good in Cincy, but there's a lot of circumstance with that. I mean, I believe that had he gotten his act together, he would have been the greatest returner in Titans history.
But he was never
D-Mays.
ever going to get his act together. Never.
Right. But I'm saying if he had, he would have surpassed Derek, from the return standpoint, and I think he could have been the best corner they've ever had too.
1375 says Randy Moss. I was like, good one.
Dylan said Jack Conklin. Chip said Josh Reynolds. Again, I kind of put him in Khalif. I mean, Josh Reynolds has played better in Detroit than he played here. He did nothing here, so I mean, I guess you can count that one.
Yeah, I mean, Conklin's a good one. I mean, he elevated his game. It was becoming, one of the best right tackles in the game of football. Unfortunately, he had his injury, and he's out now. But I think Conklin's one up on that list. That's a good one.
Here's another one that I never would have thought of. Austin and Franklin. Jack Doyle. He had a pretty good career for Indy. Wasn't he here like in a training camp?
Yeah, that's a good one. He got out of Western Kentucky. He got cut here and then picked up by the Colts and had a nice career, but he never played here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. He was just on like a practice squad.
So you go back. Another one's LeGarrette Blount, right? So
sure.
I was at the practice, and I'll tell you right now, Jeff Fisher will deny this to the day he dies, but that's a night that he got into a fight with, I think it might have been Ryan Fowler, LeGarrette Blount at practice, and it was a night practice inside the bubble. And I'm telling you right now, man, they provoked LeGarrette Blount. And he got cut the next day. He had a fight in practice. I shot it. I sent it to ESPN. It was all over everywhere. Remember, he got the fight in the bowl game they played Boise State when he was at Oregon. And people were like, well, he was here. Now, he never played a game for the Titans, but went on to have a nice career for Tampa, New England, a few other people there. But
he won 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah, to me, that's that might be the most bizarre moment. The Vince Young 2008 disappearing. And the next year, LeGarrette Blount, or 2010, whatever it was, when they provoked him at practice. And they'll deny it. They'll deny it all day long, man. But I was there, and I saw it. And but he never played for the Titans in a regular season game.
Well, I've heard Jeff Fisher say on these airwaves that one of his biggest regrets was trying to sneak him through to the practice squad.
Well,
which it should be. I mean, it should certainly be.
Yeah.
That's one you'd want back.
Yeah, but he would have never – how much would he have played with Chris Johnson around him? He would have never gotten the ball that much, but who knows? But
well, I mean, so that was after Lindell White had left, right?
Yes. Lindell White had been traded to Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but I mean, I still think they could have used him. I mean, he was just a big body, and I mean, you think about his longevity, and I mean, he went to Tampa, and then he went to Pittsburgh, and remember, he walked off the sideline in Pittsburgh here,
right,
when he was with the Steelers.
Good memory.
And then Tomlin cut him, and then he ends up with the Patriots. He wins 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots, and then he won one with Philadelphia his last year. So, I mean, he ended up with 3 rings.
He did.
I've gotten to know LeGarrette a little bit, so I mean, he's He's an interesting character. Like, he really is. Like, it's fascinating to talk to him because he's very open about everything in his career.
He was,
which is cool.
Well, yeah, and when he had he's 37 years old. That's crazy. But
I can get him. He'd be fun to have on.
I think he was at the time troubled, all that, because I don't think that was him. That's the reaction. And look, the reaction he had in that game. You lost a tough game, and some guys come over talking smack in your face.
Yeah,
we all say walk away, but that's not easy to walk away when somebody's doing that to you. I mean, It's not easy. And so, but yeah, he was cut in 2010 during training camp, and then picked up by Tampa Bay.
2298 says Robert Spillane, not elite yet, but a player the Titans could desperately use. He's with the Raiders.
Okay.
Having a I mean he's definitely playing better than he did here. This Robert says I'm pretty sure Jason Babin was a cut, and I'm not sure if he went on to win a championship, but I know he had continued success.
I'm telling you, Jason Babin can go to hell, and I'll tell you this right now. You know why?
Wow.
Coming back from flying with the team in 2010, this true story, and he was snoring in the row next to me, and the lady's coming back. She had, and the flight attendant had one Dove bar left, right? So she's like, I got one Dove bar, and so I took my headphones off. I said, I'll take it, and Babin grabs the Dove bar and starts eating it. I was furious.
You're gonna fight it. You want to fight it?
It's so stupid. To this day. It was Christmas Day 2010. They were flying back from Kansas City, and he took my Dove bar. I was furious with that. But yeah, he was. Jim Washburn took him to another level when he was here, as far as playing defensive end.
Jared Cook, Ron. That's funny. Lorenzo Neal. Lo Neal basically was the same player he was everywhere he went. In Baltimore, and didn't he play in Oakland after here?
Yeah, Babin didn't win a Super Bowl. He played for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He played for 10 teams and didn't win a Super Bowl. He was here in 2010. That was the year he stole my Dove bar.
Okay, Cam, I think was being funny, but I don't think he's wrong. Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Fitzmagic thing definitely happened after he left here.
I get it, but he played for so many teams. But I want one specifically that was here, that left here to go someplace else and elevated his career. I get, he did some good things, but he was here for a cup of coffee and moved on.
Quentin Spain?
What? Who?
Quentin Spain. Played for the Titans for a little bit, then went to Buffalo, and now he's with Cincinnati.
I think his peak was here, though.
Yeah.
David in Arkansas makes a really, really good point about Lorenzo Neal. That he went to the Chargers and he helped LaDainian Tomlinson succeed. And I've heard when LT got in the Hall of Fame, he had Lo Neal there. And he credited Lo Neal for helping him a lot in his career.
But was he better there than he was here? Because you heard Mason talking about yesterday about, on the kickoff return about,
hey, on my hip, don't dip.
Yeah, right. So, he was a great player here. He was a great player for San Diego.
Yeah.
He's a great player. I think he went to the Bengals, too, for a little bit.
He went to the Ravens. He played with Derek in Baltimore, too. He played for a lot of teams.
He did.
A lot of people are saying David Long because he'll probably make the Pro Bowl this year.
Okay, I could see that. And plus David Long after Vrabel. You remember we read the paper in Miami when we were down there about Long was like, it's not personal, but it is personal. I was like, what? Yeah.
Chip in Mount Juliet and then somebody else who said Jared Cook. I guess you can count Jared Cook.
Well, he
bounced around. Cookie.
Yeah. Jared Cook.
I was saying I've
South Carolina.
Yeah.
What game did he have that great catch on the sideline? Remember, was that for the Packers?
Yeah, I think that was the Packers. You playing with Aaron Rodgers, you should be elevated.
Yes, that's right.
So keep them coming. We'll get back to this, but our buddy Tim Hasselbeck, the new head coach at Innsworth High School, going to join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on all things NFL and see what bowl game he's doing as well. He's going to join us coming up next on Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. That is right. Our man Tim Hasselback joining us here on the Chase and Big Joe show. It's homecoming, really, because Tim started with Big Joe and Willie many, many years ago, and I was along for the ride for a lot of that as well. Tim, good morning. How are you?
Wait, along for the ride? What are you talking about, dude? Like, that makes no sense. Like, we were best friends, and you're like, hey, man, as my best friend, like...
Well, that's true. We are best friends.
You know what I mean? Yeah, these guys. Like, one of them, like, you're probably not going to like that much. His name's Joe, but, like, will you come on? And I was like, sure. Like, for you, because you're my best friend, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. And
Well,
that's
you know what,
how it all
Tim?
began.
Best friends sing at other people's wedding, and I sang at your wedding, and Chase didn't. So that
Hey, fair, very,
Thank
very
you.
fair, very fair. It just is a reunion of sorts. Like, there's a chance that it could go down as like the longest running, guest radio appearance in history with you guys for sure.
It definitely will. First, congratulations are in order because you were named the head coach at Innsworth High School. I know you're excited about that, but we're excited for you because I think you're going to do a fantastic job.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm so fired up about it. I am excited. It's it's an opportunity that I'm certainly thankful for. It's an opportunity to be a part of a game that has like changed my life. And I know you guys are huge, Friday night high school football fans, and so I love the fact that actually like you guys will be covering it, and I'll be a part of it as a coach. And so yeah, I'm really excited. As you get older in life and you think about opportunities that may come your way, this is one that I'm really, really thankful for and fired up about.
You've obviously played in the league for a long time. You've been doing ESPN for a long time. Why did this feel like the perfect time to get in? And I know you've coached a little bit with your kids, but to get into high school football, which, as you know, is pretty big time these days.
Yeah. You know what, for me, like even as a player and probably even, before, getting to college, I think I thought like, look, I'm going to play football and then coach football. I think that was just always how I thought about things. It was just kind of like, all right, if someone asked me like, hey, can you predict the next 10 years? Like, what do you think it would look like? And, that was definitely the case for me as a pro player. I felt like I was always preparing myself for what was next, and what was next in my mind always seemed like it was going to be coaching. And in fact, I remember getting cut by the Giants, and Tom Coughlin, was saying to me like, hey, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, man, I'm so mad that you cut me. Like, I'm going to show you that I deserve to be on a team somewhere. You shouldn't have kept, Jared Lorenzen instead of me. And so, like there was part of that, and then TV kind of happened. And so I think inside me, there's always been this passion for it. And I've always known about the purpose of it, just having had amazing coaches throughout, my lifetime, and thinking back to my high school coach and, how much he poured into me. And so, there's definitely, those elements that I've always felt. And then I think that the big thing for me was that, there would have to be a place that it made sense. And I think you guys know this, so we moved here to Nashville over 8 years ago. We've been a part of the Innsworth community since moving here. We love it. Our daughter is going to graduate from Innsworth this year and go to Vanderbilt to play lacrosse. And so, I think that like those things lining up, I think just made me really feel like, listen, there are way too many things that God is putting in front of me right now to not pay attention to.
We're talking to Tim Hasselback this morning. Tim, did you consult anybody like I know you and Trent Dilfer are close. Did you consult anybody who's made that transition?
I've definitely talked to a lot of guys that have coached high school football or are coaching high school football. And truthfully, like this conversations I've had for a long time, Joe, and not just guys coaching high school, but also coaching at other levels as well, just about all of it. So, look, I remember sitting with Jeff Saturday when we were both, working on NFL Primetime at ESPN, but he was also the head coach at Hebron Christian in Atlanta. And, he's, cramming in, watching as much of the Huddle film that he can, before doing other things. And so, yeah, look, I've talked to like Antonio Pierce is a teammate of mine, a couple of different spots. And, so I've talked to him. I also have friends that, are coaching at like the Division III level in college or coaching high school football. My brother Matthew was coaching high school football in Massachusetts this past year. So, yeah, Joe, to answer your question, like, yes, and it's a little bit like when you're about to get a dog. Like everyone loves dogs, and then it's like, like I don't know, like I may do this. Like, what do you think? And they're like, oh man, dogs are so much work. But it's like, dude, you have 7 dogs. Like you love dogs. Like, why are you telling me how much work it is? Right? I felt like that was some of the reaction, but I know this: all the guys that I kind of admire for how they do things. Some of the guys that I've mentioned, they've done it the right way. They care about the kids. They care about the experience. And so with that, like that always came out. Like Matt Bowen's a good example. He's, he works at ESPN. He coaches high school football in Illinois, in Chicago. He was a teammate of mine in Washington. And, he sent me a text message and he said, "What's up, coach?" And he's like, "Just so you know, like, that's the coolest way anybody can ever refer to you." He's like, "It literally is an honor." And I feel that way. So I'm excited about it.
What, have you thought about your philosophy, your offense? Have you hired a coaching staff? I mean, there's a lot more than just like, hey, I'm the head coach at Innsworth.
You're exactly right. There is a lot more. And so, no, I have not, have not done that. My philosophy, look, I think this, and I mean this, and I feel like I really learned it at times, and primarily just being around Andy Reid. Andy is a West Coast offense guy. Like that's how he learned the game, right? Like he was Mike Holmgren, West Coast offense, and that's the terminology and all of that stuff. But I thought that, in my time around him, the thing that was always so clear, like it didn't matter if it was Donovan McNabb or Coy Detmer. It didn't matter if it was A.J. Feely or Michael Vick. It didn't matter if it's Alex Smith or Patrick Mahomes. Like, I think the important thing for coaches to do is to try to do things that best suit your players. Like, what are they best at doing? Like, just because I think it's a great idea to, call a play that, I don't know, I thought was an easy play to read or to run or block or anything like that, like, doesn't mean that's the case for the players. So, I think the important thing to do is to try to set up the kids for the most success possible, and that might mean throwing it every play. It might mean running it every play. Well, we're going to have to find out.
Make sure that you, when you got a lead, that you kneel down and not run the ball like Miami, please.
Well, you mentioned about hiring a coaching staff. Joe, I have you on my contact list for end-of-game management kneel down. Like, yes. Are you able to handle that?
I can. You called that game, right?
I did call that game, and I looked over at Wes Durham, who I was calling the game with, and I gave him this shrug, like what is going on here? Because I'm like, they don't need to be running the football, and so, it's one of those moments when you're calling a game where you're like, I know, but like, do I really need to say it? Because like, are they really going to fumble? And if they did fumble, are they really going to score? Right? Like, it's just kind of one of those moments. And I'm like, well, I kind of feel like it's my job to say something here.
Oh man.
Well, I'll tell you this. If you want to hire Derek Mason as your wide receivers coach, I'm cool with that as long as you keep him available from 11 to 2.
D. Mace, I just, the big concern for me is his eating habits, right? Like, I know, as a player, he was in great physical condition, but anytime I'm talking to him or anyone's, talk about what he's doing, like he's eating Skittles, like like this. I think the sweet tooth and what that has maybe done to his physical conditioning, I'm concerned about.
In all seriousness, though, Tim, because like Derek and I've talked about this before, and he did a little coaching, but he got out of it because he realized that he's asking young men to do things that he did, and not everybody can do things that he did. And you see so many former players that don't make great coaches necessarily because they have such a high expectation. So is that something that you've thought about of how you realize that, hey, these are 17, 18-year-old kids that you're coaching, and that they're not going to have the same preparation level or compete level that you may have had?
The good news for me, which is different than D. Mace, is that I stunk. I wasn't very good. I don't think I would be asking them to do anything I couldn't do. No, I mean, I get it. I've seen it. And there are guys that were great players that maybe coaching wasn't really their thing. And then there are guys that were great players and fantastic coaches. And maybe some guys that weren't great players and, weren't great coaches either. So I think the big thing, for me, in terms of coaching people and especially teenagers, is that the number one thing I want them to know is like they're seen, like I see them, and every person on the team has a valuable purpose and role and is important to the team. And I mean that. And that is something that I think that all, really good coaches that I've been around, I've seen that happen. I've seen coaches communicate that to their players. And I think that that's super important. And listen, and you're exactly right, Chase, when you said, look, high school football is different than it was 20 years ago. I think in many ways, players are more talented. There's, probably more that goes into it now than there was at that time, both on and off the field. At the same time, and so with that being said, look, it's super competitive. The league that really, honestly, just in Tennessee in general, nationally, all of it, it's super competitive. And so with that, look, there are no shortcuts in football. It's a lot of hard work. But I also know, it is the context of high school football. And so that's an important balance, not just for me, but I think that anybody that's coaching it at this level needs to be aware of.
We'll have more with Tim coming up next. We'll get into some NFL topics with him, but really appreciate him joining us and talking about his journey to being a high school football coach. More with Tim Hasselbeck coming up next, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jason Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Talking with Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst, head coach at Innsworth as well. Tim, what do you think is going on in Denver right now with this whole Russell Wilson thing? He's been benched for the remainder of the season. He's owed a lot of money. But to me, this signifies the end of his time in Denver.
Can I address that music for a second?
Go ahead.
Can we? What? I was like that. What just happened? Like I usually have like intro music, and then coming out of break there, it was like I felt like I was back at the dentist.
It's TV themed Thursday, man. That's we consider you the greatest American hero, and that's your theme song. That's your second theme song.
That was so good. That was so good. So, well, what is not good? Here's my TV transition. Is what's going on in Denver. I mean, look, I think, Chase, what's going on there is I think Sean Payton was trying to make it work. It clearly hasn't worked. It seems like there's friction with some of the reports. It seems like, conversations about, maybe Russell restructuring his contract, but the team obviously has zero leverage to make him do, have been going on for a little while now as he's trying to lead the football team, even though they're, not out of the playoff hunt at the time that this stuff is going on. And so I think it's a disaster, and it probably is just headed for Russell Wilson probably being released at some point and creating a salary cap mess for the Broncos.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get messy before it gets better. You mentioned Antonio Pierce earlier. To me, I think if Mark Davis does what he did before when he moved on from Rich Bisaccia and got Josh McDaniels, then he needs to fire himself because I think he has his head coach.
Here's what I'd say. I was teammates with Antonio in Washington and New York, and I've been on record saying this for a long time. He is the smartest football player on that side of the ball that I have ever been around. Like he was an incredible teammate, and so smart. There was a year in Washington where he played every single special teams and defensive snap. We had signed Michael Barrow to be the inside linebacker. Michael Barrow's knee acted up. I don't think he ever played up down. And Antonio Pierce played every single snap. Like, he is an amazing teammate. He's really smart. He's got a great way of kind of connecting with people. And so, look, I think that, it would be there would have to be a really strong reason for me to go a different direction than Antonio Pierce if I were the Raiders.
Tim, what bowl game are you calling?
So I'm somewhat offended, Joe, that you don't have it already loaded in your iCal. But I'm calling the Gator Bowl tomorrow, Clemson versus Kentucky, which, two good programs, definitely, some opt-outs and things that affect the bowl season. But I actually think it's going to be a pretty good one.
I want to ask you about that because the opt-out thing has never been more in our face as it is right now. What's the long-term effect of this, Tim? Because I understand it. Chase and I have talked about this ad nauseum. I understand both sides of it. But, man, it sure is deflating to some football teams.
It's super deflating to some football teams. I think that the pivot that they need to make, which, for example, just talking to Dabo yesterday, they've certainly done. Like Dabo said, look, because we've got 15 mid-year enrollees, they're here practicing with us. We're going to honor our older players that are playing in the game, but we have next year's team right now. That's what we have. And so there's going to be, some new faces at linebackers, some new faces at defensive tackles, some new wide receivers, some new defensive backs. But, this is the start of next year as well. It's the last game of this season. It's going to count on this record, but it's the start of next season. So I think that, Joe, is the posture of the team so that it's not deflating to the team, the fan base, that type of stuff. It's exciting to say, all right, I want to learn about these new young players that I only got to see for 13 snaps this season. So that's that pivot. From like a culmination of the year perspective, I think the expanded college football playoff has to quench that part of the appetite. And so I think that, everything else in terms of the bowl games, definitely are a nod to, a different experience in college football.
Well, Tennessee's quarterback Joe Milton is sitting out, and I'd understand it if he was going to be a top 5 pick, but he might not even get drafted. So the decision to sit out, it could be personal, whatever, to not get injured, but you have a chance to show off on national television what you can do against a pretty good Iowa defense. I just find it, I don't know, that kind of baffles me why he's sitting out.
Well, Joe, and here's what I would say, and this is the part of it that is people probably like you are saying, like, man, like Joe Milton, like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Not everybody's getting good advice. Like, that to me is one of the sad realities of this. And that goes on. Listen, I see it go on at the high school level. I see it go on at the college level. And I've seen it at times. Look, remember back what Le'Veon Bell did? Like,
right.
Not everyone makes great decisions, at the pro level. And I think that when you look at it, not everybody's getting good advice. What you just said about Joe Milton against a really good defense in a bowl game that is going to be looked at by all 32 NFL teams, like, that's an opportunity for a guy who is going to test really well throughout the process. People are going to fall in love with the physical attributes. A game against, a good performance against a really good defense, would it help him more than a ho-hum performance would hurt him? So I would argue that I believe he's getting bad advice.
Tim Hasselbeck is with us. If Will Levis is 80 to 85%, what would be the benefit of him playing the final 2 games for the Titans as they look to the future?
Reps, experience, it's important. One of the things I feel strongly about, especially in recent years, looking at quarterbacks, is it's outliers. It's the 10,000 hours. It's time on task. I get really nervous seeing what's happened. I'll just give you a couple examples. Like, Trey Lance has played very little football since leaving high school. I mean, it's no one knows if he's going to be any good. No one. Anthony Richardson does not have a lot of starts under his belt in college. He had a really short rookie season. It's a problem, in terms of your development. You look at some other guys. I'll give you an example. Brock Purdy. He played a ton of football. It matters. It's why Bill Parcells would have kind of the important factors to drafting a quarterback. I forget the number, but I think Parcells wanted, at least 40 starts at the college level. And so I think for Will Levis, look, the way that this year has gone in terms of he's banged up in the preseason, but he got an opportunity to play this year. Certainly been good moments and bad moments. I think just getting the reps in the work, playing at this level, I think is important. I think it will really benefit him not just this year, but down the road.
Tim, one more before you go. Back to college football. Who wins it all? Chase and I, we're betting on Alabama, and then Nick Saban can ride off into the sunset. What do you say about these Final Four?
Yeah, I don't know about riding into the sunset, but I think I agree with you guys. It's weird for me, because I feel really badly about what happened to Florida State. And I think they're a really good team. I've had them, a number of years, the last few years, calling ACC games. But I think that, and I bring them up just to say, who's the best team right now? And their quarterback situation, if you just look back to the beginning of the season, it's totally different in terms of how they trust their quarterback, their production, their quarterback, the threat of their quarterback. And so I think Alabama, with how they're coached, the talent they have, I would agree with you guys. I think they end up winning it all.
Tim, Happy New Year to you and the family. Again, congratulations, and I know we'll be talking to you down the road, and you're going to keep doing some stuff with us here on 102.5 The Game. But really excited for you.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on. It's a fun reunion. So I'm glad we did it to kick off the new year coming. So I appreciate both you guys.
No doubt about it. We'll talk soon.
See you guys.
Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst and Innsworth football coach, joining us here on the program. We'll react to some of the stuff he said because I think, look, he's spot on. And, Joe, I'm curious and we didn't get into this with him, but of how a lot of this stuff that we're seeing in college football, it's seeping to the high school level and how he plans to deal with it too. We'll discuss a lot of that and more. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin here with you on this Thursday. Really good conversation with Tim Hasselbeck. That was a lot of fun. We'll, usually you can hear him at noon with Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on Tuesdays, but we'll have to catch up with our old buddy here and there down the line as he takes over the Innsworth program. Speaking of Tim and the Hasselbecks, their alma mater, Boston College, in action in the Fenway Bowl against 11-2 SMU. That on ESPN right now, playing at Fenway Park.
I just tweeted out the weather report. Did you see that? It's 43 degrees, 100% chance of rain, 100% humidity, and it looks absolutely miserable right now. And I know coaches will tell you, and I agree, there are no bad bowl games. But my goodness, I mean, it's just – and nobody's there.
Yeah.
It just looks awful. Good Lord.
It does. But look, I'm intrigued by it because here's why. And we saw it yesterday. So Virginia Tech, they were what, 6-6, something like that. They beat Tulane. There was an 11-2 team. SMU's 24th ranked team in the country at 11-2, taking on Boston College. I'm just always curious about – these mid-major programs coming in.
Group of five. Yeah.
Group of five, and they've had a great year, but how do they perform against, in this case, an ACC team?
Well, I was always, it's a matter of does a team want to be there, all right? So, last year, Tulane and USC in the Cotton Bowl, I believe it was, USC didn't want to be there, and Tulane took advantage of that and knocked them down. And that's the thing, does SMU – want to be there? Does Boston College really want to be in this bowl game? And so you got to figure out what you want to do. And that's why when a group of five in a bowl game knocks off a Power Five, it's something. Like if Auburn
want to be there.
If Auburn would have beat UCF in 2017, whatever year that was, and to shut up all the UCF talk about we're national champion, that would have been huge. That would have quieted everything. But Auburn laid down. They did not want to be there. Malzahn, I think, was the coach. They did not want to be there.
No, that was the beginning of the end for him.
Correct, yeah. And then so UCF took advantage of it. So if SMU doesn't want to be there, Boston College is going to take advantage of that and be there. But it's flipped this time because it is SMU is probably favored in this game, and there's a lot to play for them. And Boston College at 6-6. And what's their motivation today?
Right. I don't know who this quarterback is for SMU, but he's pretty good.
For years, and I don't gamble anymore because I can't. True story. I picked the winner of the Sun Bowl, Chase. I picked it correctly 20 years in a row.
Wow.
Because there are teams like 1 year Miami went to the Sun Bowl, right? Do you think Miami wants to go to the Sun Bowl? I mean, honestly.
No.
And they got destroyed in the Sun Bowl. So you look at teams that really want to be there in those environments, and Miami, you put a nice Power 5 team in a bowl game that nobody wants to go to, and then it's easy to pick a winner off of that.
I know that this has always been the case in some ways. It's been the case. Like you said, does a team want to be there in one of these bowl games? But I go back to 2008, and you probably remember this, Music City Bowl. At Nissan Stadium, Vanderbilt's playing Boston College.
Yep.
And it was cold. It was New Year's Eve, and it was cold. It was like a 2:30, 3 o'clock kickoff, something like that. And my dad and I went, and it was freezing. Like I was miserably cold. But I looked around, and I watched that game, and the teams were evenly matched, and I think Vanderbilt, because it had been so long since they had been to a bowl game, they wanted it. I think they wanted it a little bit more than Boston College, but Boston College was just as competitive. And I looked around, and it was a pretty good crowd, and there were a bunch of Vanderbilt fans, and there was an older gentleman in front of us that that had tears in his eyes when Vanderbilt won because he was at the last bowl game that had happened so many years earlier, and that. I know it may still exist, but it's like that is why you play those games. And it was a unique situation because Vanderbilt had been a team that had been scratching and clawing, and finally, Bobby Johnson gets them back to a bowl game, and they win the bowl game, and had struggled so much at football. But that's why bowl games are still around. And when you see these guys opting out and nobody cares, and
right.
And I mean, I made the comment there's too many bowl games and
Nope.
and they don't matter and stuff, but on that day it mattered. And like Jared said something to me last night when we were texting. He was in San Diego and unfortunately saw his Louisville Cardinals lose to USC. But he said bowl games don't matter until you're actually in the bowl game, and then everything matters. And I think that's very true.
Well, here's an example. The Las Vegas Bowl. Do you think Utah wanted to be there to play Northwestern? No. Who won the game?
Utah.
Northwestern, 14-7.
I mean.
Yeah. So, I mean, you took, it's tough to get those teams up to play that game and to get them there and do that. And then there are teams who are excited to be there, like Kansas. Other night in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl knocked off UNLV. Kansas wanted to be there, and they showed they wanted to be there and knock them off. And so, like Virginia Tech yesterday, Virginia Tech wanted to be there and like, hey, we got something to prove here. As our season ends, we can knock off really good Tulane teams. So there's a method to the madness that doesn't always work and go that way. Like USC last night in the Holiday Bowl. I didn't think USC would play well, but they beat Louisville last night in that game.
Oh, that quarterback balled out.
He did. He got the opportunity to do that and to see that. But
West Virginia. Don't forget about West Virginia last night.
Well, Drake May didn't play.
Still.
And so that kind of deflates your team. And that goes back what we talked to Tim Hasselbeck about, and he made the perfect point about somebody's giving Joe Milton bad advice. Thank you, Tim Hasselbeck, for saying that, because all these Tennessee fans came to Joe Milton's defense yesterday, and then like when I found Adam Sparks tweeted out that Joe Milton's going to be at the game on the sideline, I'm like, then why not play? You're already there. Go ahead and play and show what you can do. And Tim hit the nail on the head. He got bad advice.
But you know what? And I thought about this during that conversation with Tim, that and during the conversation that we're having right now. You're right. It's bad advice, and Joe Milton should play. He should finish what he started. But I give Tennessee even more of an advantage now because you know who's excited to play and who wants to be there and who I think is going to go out there and showcase his talents.
Andy Kelly.
Yes, Andy Kelly.
All right.
Nico.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like,
okay,
I'm getting my shot. And he's going to have plenty of shots. Like, for all practical purposes, he's their quarterback for the next at least 2 years. That's what they hope, that he's going to be the guy for the next 2 years. But now is his opportunity that he goes out, he has fun, and he shows what he can do. And I think that that's contagious with the team around him.
I'm with you. It's going to be fun to watch. I would watch a game anyway, but now to see how he can do, what he can play. And, from all accounts, from people I know within the program up there and around the program, the teammates, the guys love Nico. I mean, they love that guy. And they say he's got a great attitude. He's fun to be around. He's a heck of a player. Does great in practice. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I mean, hell, all they can do is kick a field goal, and they'll beat Iowa 3-0.
Yeah.
But still, it'll be fun to do that. But I wish you would have gone out and played, and you show what you could do on national TV. Because if I'm wrong, does that game not lead into the Alabama-Michigan game?
It sure does. And, Joe, you can actually hear the Citrus Bowl between Tennessee and Iowa starting at 11:30 on Monday, New Year's Day, as it is a part of 3 games we have on our airwaves, starting with that one and then a little bit of a break, and then Alabama and Michigan in the Rose Bowl starting at 3:30, followed by Texas and Washington.
Well done.
the Sugar
Chaser, coming up next, Dr. Crane's got something for us. It's a fun little segment we're going to do. Dr. Crane, you ready?
Yes, sir. Let's do this thing.
And this pertains to everyone, so everybody's invited to this next segment.
Okay, is this something we could give something away to?
Well, I mean, it's
Potentially,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will do that coming up next. I don't really know what's going on, so
Read
it'll
your
be a
text
surprise
there.
to me. I know. It's theater of the mind, Joe. Jeez, come on. I always know what's going on. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. We are presented by Regal Realty Group here on 102.5 The Game. Watching the Fenway Bowl between SMU and Boston College. Lots of rain at
Looks
Fenway Park.
fun. Yes.
Would you have liked playing in that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, playing rain is fantastic, but I mean,
It's probably cold, though. That's the problem.
it's just weird looking at Fenway flipped over that way, and they're showing the rain, and like there's nobody there, and it's just. But what got me though was the 100% chance of rain, the 100% humidity. That's like being in Hades, man.
But
Pass on that.
So I've kind of been anti playing football games in a baseball stadium, but it is kind of cool to say that you played in Fenway Park at some point in your career. And I asked Jared because the Holiday Bowl, used to be at the old, Charger Stadium.
Jack
Now-
Murphy.
Yeah, now it's at Petco. And I was like, so what was that like? He said it was actually pretty cool. So, so you got the Fenway Bowl right now. You just heard me say we got the Pinstripe Bowl coming up this afternoon at Yankee Stadium. So certainly is kind of more of the norm now to have some of these bowl games at these baseball stadiums.
I agree. All right, Dr. Crane. All right, so every day has a day. Do we know this, right, Chase? You know this? Every day's got a day.
Every day's
So
got a day.
Dr. Crane has our what day is it for December the 28th? These national days. Because it's gotten out of hand and chaotic. So, Dr. Crane, I believe you got a list on what day is it, right?
I sure do. And we have a little theme music to go along
Oh,
with it.
Dr. Crane, look at you. All right.
Yeah,
What we
stand
You
got?
got the
prepared.
organist to come in. That's nice.
Today we have a Call a Friend Day.
Call a friend day. Who would you call, Dr. Crane?
It's a tough one. If
You got in trouble. You had one phone call. This is actually a great question. Who would you call?
I would call my grandmother.
You'd break her heart.
No, she would save the day.
Okay.
I know for a fact my grandma would save the day. And, DEFCON 2 would go to my brother. So
Chaser, who would you call?
I mean, I think everybody should know the answer to this.
All right, no,
I'd
you
call-
can't. Say you can't call your mom. You can't call your parents. You got to call
No,
somebody
I'm not
else.
going to say. I'd call Ricky.
Okay.
Ricky'd be there in a heartbeat
All right.
to laugh at me probably, but
He would.
he'd be there.
And then ask to borrow money to get your bill. So I mean, that's,
Like, hey, I'm here to bail you out. Give me some money.
I'd call mine. I'd call the coach, Coach Wells. We've been through a lot together. We won't talk about it, but that's who I would call. So yeah, that's a
Okay.
good one. National
I like
Call
that.
Your Friend Day. All right, what else?
we also have National Holy Innocents Day.
Well, now what is that?
What the hell is that?
Just says, also known as the Children's Day, so Children's Mass Day, Feast of the Holy Innocent Day.
You're Catholic.
Yeah.
You ever heard of this?
I have heard of Children's Mass on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
That will not be in attendance anymore. That was absolutely crazy.
Okay.
Everybody was in attendance for Jesus Christ Day that night. Sold out crowd.
Packed house, huh?
Packed house. Packed house.
Any tickets on SeatGeek for that?
No tickets on sale for SeatGeek.
All right.
But the other one we have is National Card Playing Day.
Oh, do you play cards?
I do.
What are you good at? If I set you down and we went to Vegas today, what would you play?
Tough one. I love blackjack.
Yeah, that's the one.
I would have to say poker. I'm decent at Texas Hold'em style. I'm all right with that. As for some other stuff, Scopa. Scopa's a fun game. It's
What is that?
It's an Italian card game. It's like Sicilian style. It's just there's
Look.
different shapes and stuff on it, and you just slap it when it's there. It's
Look,
kinda-
I love you, but I'm not playing cards with a Sicilian. All right, I'm just not doing that.
it's fun.
I'm not doing that. No, thank you.
We're sitting there at the table and Nick's losing, and he just looks at us like
Next thing you know, I'm in
Hey.
the Cumberland River. I'll pass on that, man.
a couple of big guys walk in.
All right, Chase, you go to Vegas. You got to play cards. What are you going to play?
Oh, blackjack, easy.
Okay. Do you know how to play? I want to learn how to play Texas Hold'em. I think it'd be fun.
I'm not very good at it. I'm actually terrible at poker. Like, I can't even fake my way through it right now.
I find it fascinating when you watch those poker things on TV and they're wearing their sunglasses and just. I mean, it's intense. I know guys have gone and played, and I said, "What's it like?" He's like, "It's the most unbelievable pressure you could ever imagine."
So Ricky's listening, so he'll laugh at this. When we went out to Vegas a few months ago, I've always seen poker players, put their sunglasses and everything on. Well, I sit down at the blackjack table, and I put my sunglasses on. I thought that the pit boss was going to jump the table to tackle me. They're like, "Take your glasses off," and I'm
Holy
just
cow.
like, "What?" What are you talking about? Your sunglasses. Take
They change colors in different, temperatures of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were pretty clearly sunglasses. But
Nice. Blue blockers. Well done, Chase. All right, what else, Nick?
We also have National Chocolate Candy Day.
oh,
Do you have a guilty pleasure, Joe?
Well, I think I'm not chocolate candy. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can't turn down a Reese's peanut butter cup, but is
that's
that
my
chocolate?
favorite. Yeah, I mean, if you count that, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, that's a kryptonite for me. I
Really?
can't do it. Yeah.
Kit Kats, Mr. Good Bar.
The problem with Kit Kat is I can't quit with one.
Yeah.
I mean,
In fact,
so
you bringing up Reese's and by the way, a fantastic discussion is it Reese's or Reese's? Because you hear people say Reese's. It is Reese's. I realize that sorry, I get distracted.
That's all right.
I have a bag of that. Now you've triggered me that I want to go eat some Reese's peanut butter cups.
well, that's the thing. Is like Butterfingers and Kit Kat. I mean, if you could just eat one, then it's okay. But it's impossible. So for those who don't eat that, I truly admire you, but I can't. What about you, Dr. Crane?
T's and P's.
I do love me a good Kit Kat. Dark chocolate, I found that out a while back. That has a different flavor profile. It's phenomenal. Twix is good. People to left and right, just give me both of them. As for any other candies, I can't
Right.
really think of that are
Okay.
chocolate.
That's good.
Hershey's, good classic.
I mean, you
Sure.
got your classics that involve chocolate, like you have your Snickers bar, or your Three
Yeah.
Musketeers,
Okay.
or I mean, it all involves chocolate of some sort.
So National Chocolate Candy Day. All right, what else we got, Dr. Crane?
National Download Day? That's a question mark for me.
Well, just what are your favorite downloads? I don't.
I guess movies, like on Netflix and stuff,
I
you
don't
can
know.
download them on the cloud.
It
or
just
whatever
shows
they
you
call
the insanity of these days. National Download Day.
it. I mean, we're
you
just.
don't really have to download anything anymore. You just go to different,
yeah.
YouTube or whatever.
I guess when you go on a plane though, and you're trying to watch something, you can kind of,
Yeah, you've now you've triggered me. See, kids today like you, Nick, that you're younger than me. You never had to live through, LimeWire or Napster, which I am aware is, skirting some laws a little bit, but that's how we lived back in the day.
Oh, I
We had
remember
to download-
LimeWire.
We had to download music. Now it's all streaming and right there in the palm of your hand, which is much easier. But
Yeah.
Right.
but it's like we had to work to get our music, or we had to buy these things called CDs
Right.
and have our little Discman players, Walkman before that. I mean, I remember cassette tapes too, but
Or
my
you could use, this thing. What's the craziest download thing you got on your phone right now?
Ooh, that's
like
a great question.
craziest thing you've downloaded. You mean? Is
Yeah,
that-
that like nobody else has.
oh, I don't know.
There's an app I have. It's called
I probably don't need to talk
Fossum.
about that publicly.
It's called Fossum. It's like, I guess, old movies like A Christmas Story. Like you can download it for seasonal stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, that. I don't know.
I got the
That's-
Tubi app, TUBI. Then I can watch Miami Vice on demand.
There
Okay.
you go.
What else you got, Dr. Crane?
National Short Film Day.
National Short Film Day. Goodness,
I'm drawing blanks here. I don't know.
I've never heard of that movie.
Well, in that, like a short film, I don't think they're really that big anymore. But it used to be like I think there was a category in the Oscars for them that
there is
they're like what 15, 20 minutes.
something like that. National Short Film. I can't think of one.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a good one off the top of my head, but I mean, I know they exist.
I remember how to watch them a lot in community college. We had a big movie class, and they were like, "Oh, we got to do 2 short films that are silent." And I was like, "Oh, thank goodness they are short."
It said the greatest short film of all time is called An Andalusian Dog, made in 1929.
So, did Charlie Chaplin do a lot of short films? Is that what that would have been considered?
I need to ask him because I don't know.
I believe so, Chase.
Yeah, these are all back in the 20s and
Sure.
30s. Like A Trip to the Moon came out in 1902. That was 13 minutes, and the graphics were awful. All right, moving on. What else we got?
Lastly, National Pledge of Allegiance Day.
Oh,
Amen.
there you go.
Could you do it right now? I mean, not right now, but could you?
Yeah, recite it for
Yeah,
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Same here. We did it every
I
day.
could do it.
Yep. Every day. There it is. What day
All
is
right.
it? Good job, Dr. Crane.
I like
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
This
very
could be a
good.
fun one going forward.
What was the one we spent most time on? What was the first one? The
I would say National Chocolate Candy Day was the one
Yeah.
we spent the most time
What was the
on.
very first one we did?
Call a Friend Day.
Call
Yeah, that was
yes.
Yep.
That's
call?
a great segment because you gotta call somebody you trust. And it might not be your best friend, but it might be somebody you can trust that'll keep, hey, what's going on? And then
Not the Ghostbusters, all right?
no, you can't
No.
do that. Well done, Dr. Crane.
Boston College leads SMU 3-0.
Why are you
with
watching this
3:49 to go in the Fenway Bowl because it's on. I'm also watching. I'm also watching the World Juniors. Team USA leading Switzerland 3-1.
They seem like there's some kind of world hockey tournament every other day.
Pretty much, yeah.
What is this one?
This is a big one, the World Juniors.
Okay.
So it's a lot of the prospects. I don't know if the Preds have any prospects on USA.
Is Yaroslav Ignigia in that?
He is not. No.
Okay, all right.
No, he is not. He's preparing
Yaroslav
for his interview.
Right. I do think it's funny though. Real quick, watching the ball game, that the announcers are outside in the stands.
That's awesome. I actually like that. That's
They
pretty cool.
look miserable,
so
kind of like me sitting here.
We have 2 pairs of Predators tickets to give away before we get out of here for the January 4th game against Calgary. I believe it's also 90s night, which is going to be cool. The Calgary Flames on January 4th at Bridgestone Arena. So 2 pairs of tickets. We're going to give those away before we get out of here. So be listening for your chance to win that. Much more coming here on Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, friends, listen to me right now. I want you to say goodbye to all those high medical bills. When you use Medical House Calls, you don't have to worry about hidden fees or surprise charges. Medical House Calls is revolutionizing how patient care is getting done. Patients pay one flat fee no matter the treatment, making Medical House Calls more affordable than the average urgent care and emergency room. Also, we're in the middle of the cold and flu season. You can get tested and treated without leaving your home. You don't have to drive across town to your doctor's office or wait in a clinic. Their mobile medical services are here to make your health a top priority. Visit medicalhousecalls.com and see what everyone is talking about, why there. See all the great reviews as well. In fact, Chuck McDowell loved the treatment he received so much, he bought the company. Yes, medicalhousecalls.com, where the nearest clinic is your home.
Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hey, join Big Joe and Chris Sanders for the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl on 102.5 The Game as Auburn goes up against Maryland at Nissan Stadium. They'll have the pregame show at noon presented by Green Trees Company and the kickoff at 1 o'clock. You can get your tickets today at musiccitybowl.com.
Sorry.
Is that funny?
No, I was just looking up who sings the theme song for
Three's Company?
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat it. I'm sorry. Yeah, bowl game. I'm looking forward to Chris Sanders and I on Saturday. I look forward to it.
You're like, squirrel.
I am. Sorry about that. Yeah, it'll be fun right here starting at noon, correct?
Yes, noon to 1 with the pregame and the kickoff at 1 o'clock. So looking forward to that on Saturday. I'm actually going to the Peach Bowl. So I'm going to watch our friend Jimmy Frank take on the Lane Train, Lane Kiffin.
I hope Ole Miss beats them by 90.
I think it'll be a good game, honestly. I mean, you talk about like teams that want to be there. I mean, I feel like Ole Miss may want it a little bit more than Penn State, but I still think it'll be a good game.
Okay, nice.
So should be fun for sure. We talk about, and you're Tim Hasselbeck. When you made the comment about Nick Saban riding off into the sunset, he didn't agree with you, I don't think.
No, not at all.
He pushed back on that. You and I have been pretty steadfast on that. And speaking of James Franklin, we've kind of thrown out that, could he be the one to replace Saban at Alabama? Weasel his way into that one. But do you think that, let's just, say that happens, that Saban leaves, Saban retires after the playoff. What do you think the odds are of Jim Harbaugh jumping to the NFL? Because that keeps coming up.
Well, he said he's not going to go. I mean, you just take him for his word, but that word's always been broken. But here, it's about to Saban for a second, okay? It's been very clear for those in the know in Tuscaloosa that Saban does not like the expanded playoffs. He's not a fan of the NIL. It's crazy this year as ever. Why put up with that if you don't have to, right? What else do you have to prove? You win a national championship. Go out like John Elway, man. You're a champion. Go out on top and be done with it. If he comes back next year and they go 8-4, it's like, well, he had the chance to go out on top.
Yeah.
You got your big beach house in Florida. I agree with what you said earlier. Take over the Lee Corso role on College Game Day. You're still got a footprint in there. Look, 5 years ago, Nick Saban's not doing the McAfee show. He's not. He's maybe not even 3 years ago, but he's doing it now. Why?
Because he's getting ready for what's next. And
Thank you.
Here's the other thing too. People have kind of given McAfee a hard time about game day, and there's the old school just that have been used to the same old thing and like the same old thing. They don't like McAfee. I personally like McAfee. I think he's different. I think he's entertaining. I think he pushes the envelope, which I think this industry needs. And he's not the same old thing that you've seen over and over again. I believe that he and Nick Saban, and then you can keep Herb Street and keep him on there. Keep everybody else, Reese Davis, what have you, and keep McAfee and then add Saban. I actually think that would be pretty entertaining because I've enjoyed the chemistry that they've had because people don't see that other side to Nick Saban.
Right.
But it's there. Like, he has that other side. He just doesn't show it because of the job that he's in. But when he gets on TV, I think he certainly, will show that.
We do. All right, so, Dr. Crane, you've got Jim Harbaugh asked about the Chargers job.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hear this.
It's not different. It's December. NFL rumors again. How do you respond to that?
Such a one-track mind. That's the way we've gone about things. It's literally whatever day we're in, looking to get the most out of it, dominate the day. Then we'll go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow and see if we can't dominate that day. It's a single-minded group, and it's very focused on just taking care of business today and see if we can't do the same tomorrow.
Jim, you've got a history in San Diego, and you finished your career with the Chargers, who have an opening right now. Just what was it like playing for them and for the Spanos family?
Yeah, it's just a very one-track mind about this game. Right now, just have fun with the family and the team and the players. It's like we're at the happiest place on earth, and we're gonna enjoy ourselves, and then get back to business. See if we can't dominate the day. Got some good meetings tonight, and we wake up tomorrow and practice. See if we can't dominate that day. I mean, this is like straight out of the Jackie Harbaugh playbook. One day at a time, one play at a time, and that's how we're approaching each day.
One day at a time, one play at a time.
My goodness.
Coach speak. Now, I'm going to give I don't know who that reporter was that asked the Chargers question. I am going to give them credit because he tried and he brought up the Spanos family and, tried to make it personal. Like, hey, you played there, you finished your career there. That was a valiant effort that he didn't bite on, but it was still like, I'll give you credit for trying there.
Yeah. Oh,
That's pretty
absolutely.
good.
Yeah. Dominate the day. I like that. I mean, that's good. That's not giving anything in there. I mean, that's who knows. I mean, again, these guys want to put up with the NIL and the portal and, these kids flipping their mind. I mean, if you're an NFL coach, you don't have to deal with that.
You don't. But here's my thing. I think Harbaugh has such an ego that and look, Michigan's got a very good chance to win it all this year. I mean, I think they do. I hope Alabama beats them. I would like, which is funny, but I would like to see an Alabama-Texas rematch just as a football fan. That's what I'm looking forward to. But if they win it all, I think he's gone. I think he takes the Chargers job because I think his ego, he wants to be in that group that's that's done both.
Yeah.
I think he wants to join Jimmy Johnson and Pete Carroll and Barry Switzer.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, again, how does it finish out for Michigan? I mean, do they get beat bad by Alabama and he leaves that way? Is that how he wants to leave his tradition? But I think if they go win the national championship, why not?
Because and to me, the Chargers, that is a perfect job for him because he's got the quarterback.
He does. You're exactly correct.
And he can go in, and I think he and Herbert would work very well together, and he could help develop him even more and then tweak the rest of the team and probably be a contender right off the hop, and then maybe win it in the next couple of years.
Yeah, but it's it'll be interesting to see down the stretch how this all plays out because again, back to Saban. I think Saban's gone if they win the national championship, and then it's funny, in all this in the Final Four, nobody's even talking about Washington. I mean, nobody's said a word about him. I know they,
which they love.
Do you know that Michael Penix Jr. His father? I did not know this. His father played running back, I think, at Tennessee Tech in the '90s.
Huh? I didn't know that.
Yep.
So, okay, you're a college football historian. Can you think of, Harbaugh obviously went to Michigan. Can you think of a former player that comes back as the head coach and has won the national championship at that school?
At his own school.
Has that ever happened?
Fulmer did it in '98.
Well, okay, yeah, that's duh.
I think Tom Osborne did it in '94, '95 in Nebraska. Spurrier did it in '96 at Florida. Let's see here. Bobby Bowden went to Samford, so he didn't do that. I'm going 0-1. Bob Stoops, right? Is he an Oklahoma guy?
Is he an Oklahoma
I don't
guy?
remember to go
I feel
back.
dumb for asking this question now, but,
I
it's
don't-
not many.
He went to Iowa.
He went
Okay.
to
Thank you
yeah.
so much there. Good job, Dr. Crane. I'm trying to think. Urban went to Bowling Green, I think, or he didn't go to Florida, I know. Or
Saban
Ohio
went to
State.
Kent State.
Correct. I'm trying to go down. Chiswick did not go to Auburn. So, yeah, there's a few, but
Urban
Fulmer.
Meyer went to Cincinnati.
Oh, did he? Okay. Hey, I got the state correct. Thank you very much. Lavelle Edwards in '84. Where did Lavelle Edwards go? From Brigham Young. They won the national championship, which is still one of the most bizarre national titles that people still talk about 40 years later.
Lavelle Edwards went to Utah State.
Okay, there we go. Moving on. Paterno. Where'd Paterno go to Penn State? Because he won it in '82 82 and 86.
Joe Paterno went to Brown.
Okay, well, I am striking out here. I'm just throwing out guys that won
Lou
national
Holtz?
title. Lou Holtz
Kent
went
State.
Get to Kent State. Yep. Who what? 90 Georgia Tech and Colorado. No, 91 Miami. Dennis Erickson did not go to Miami. Oh, Gene Stallings with the A&M, right? 92. I think he went to A&M. I think he's one of the.
I think that's probably right. What about somebody on the text line just said Ed Orgeron?
He went to Nicholls State, I think.
Yeah.
He did not go to LSU.
Yeah, Gene Stallings went to A&M.
Yeah. So, I mean, is Fulmer the last one? There's one more after that. Fulmer won at 98. I mean, he played, then coached at Tennessee. And then
Who won in 99? Was that
Bobby
Florida
Bowden.
State?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then in 2000 was Oklahoma. They beat Florida State in the Orange Bowl. Remember that?
2001.
That would have been Miami with Larry Coker. He did not go to Miami.
All right. 02.
Would have been Ohio State with Jim Tressel. I don't think he went to Ohio State.
Jim Tressel went to
I don't think.
some college I've never heard of. Akron. Oh, he went to Akron. He got his master's at Akron.
03 would have been LSU. Saban went to Kent State. 04, that's USC. And kind of Auburn put in there, Tuberville, and then Pete Carroll. Mac Brown went to Florida State in 05. Texas won. 06 was Florida with Urban. So, yeah.
Yeah. So Fulmer might have been the last one.
Oh, we're late to the break.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll come back with celebrity birthdays. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game. Our text line's blowing up on us, and they should, because we got to be the two dumbest people in the world. Coaches to win a championship at their school. Well, Kirby Smart's done it the last 2 years.
Oh,
I
my
feel
goodness.
so freaking stupid right now.
Right in front of you know what? I stopped at 17 or 19
I
with
just-
Orgeron, so my bad.
Well, and somebody said Dabo. Dabo went to Alabama.
Dabo went to
He was a
Alabama.
wide receiver. He was on the 92 team, right?
Air quote, not on the team. Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess he was there
Yeah.
then. But yeah, I know. Georgia fans, I'm sorry. I feel stupid.
We were
Kirby.
getting there. We had to get the break. We had finished
know,
at
I
2019.
know. But like that's it's obvious though. Like I just feel stupid. Real quick, Cam, what you got? You want to weigh in on something real quick?
Yeah, feeling stupid. Paul Bear Bryant played defensive end for Alabama in 1933 to 1935.
Okay. Well, you
That's a good one.
you got us on that one. You're right. Thank
Really?
you.
I thought he went.
He coached at Kentucky. He coached at Vanderbilt, I think, for like
coached at-
1 year.
He did, and he coached at A&M too, right?
Yep. And then to A&M, he went to did he go A&M? Did he go to Kentucky or A&M to I don't know. I don't have time to look it up, but
He did play at Alabama. You're right. Yeah, he went to Alabama, to Vanderbilt, to Georgia pre-flight, whatever that is. Head coach at Maryland for a year, then Kentucky, then A&M as head coach, then Alabama.
okay.
With that, let's get to celebrity birthdays. Celebrity birthdays. Follow Zach Pillar on Instagram at Zach Pillar Design 69, and then step into his world.
All right, here we go. First birthday up today on Celebrity Birthday, which, by the way, voted, thank you, TV Guide, America's favorite radio segment. First birthday today is Denzel Washington. And a fun fact about Denzel Washington, met his wife in Clarksville, Tennessee, according to a story. He was there filming the Wilma Rudolph story,
Oh, cool.
and that's how he met his wife.
I love Denzel. I'm going to say he is 71.
I'm going to go a little higher, 74.
He's 69. Good job, Chaser. Off and rolling. Let's see. Who's up next is Seth Meyers.
Former SNL guy and
Yep.
now does late night TV. 48.
55.
50. Chase up 2-0. 50 years old. Well done. Singer John Legend.
John Legend, 60.
Oh, 47.
45.
There we go.
Chase, what legend are you thinking of?
I don't know.
2-1.
Legend.
Chase, you're up. Let's get going on this one. Actress Sienna Miller. Was she in the Chris Kyle story, American Sharpshooter or whatever it was?
Yeah, I think she might have been.
Sienna Miller.
American Sniper.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
40.
Hey, Chase, I know black don't crack, but man, you said he was 60? John Legend? Gosh, man, you aging that guy.
My bad,
Right?
My bad, D-Mace. I'm sorry.
Lord.
I'm going to go with the educated guess of 63.
Was for Sienna Miller? Chase, what'd you say?
40.
She's 42. Chase, God, you guys are all over the board today. Singer kid keyboardist Edgar Winter. How old is Edgar Winter today?
I'm going to be honest with you. I thought he was dead. 72.
Let's go a little higher. I'm going 78.
77. 3-2. TV personality Gail King.
Gail King, 59.
We'll go like 64.
69 years old. The lead singer of Diamond Rio, Marty Rowe.
You're friends with him.
Best friends.
Marty Rowe, 62.
Ooh. We're going to go a little higher, going 67.
63. Chase, you're up 4-2. I like this. You got some momentum going on right here. Let's see. You missed John Legend one. Let's see here.
Sorry.
American Idol runner-up David Archuleta.
He calls a lot of Titans games.
He does.
41.
Yeah, I'm going to say like 43.
He is 33 years old. And with that, Chaser, you win 4-2. Congratulations.
All right, even with the John Legend mix up
Well
there.
done.
There you go. That is going to do it for us, but we're not going anywhere. We're going to hang out with Willie and D-Mace. Caroline under the weather today, so we decided to stick around for 2 hours up until bowl games at 1 o'clock. That's all coming up next. And by the way, if you want to go see the Predators take on the Calgary Flames on January 4th, that is a Thursday, we got 2 pairs of tickets to give away. Callers number 5 and 6 at 615-737-1025 will win those tickets. Caller number 5 and 6. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace next, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. Go ahead, Joe.
As we leave you every show, every day, listen to our guys out there, and we do this message every day because we love you guys. If you're struggling, please call 988 on your cell phone, 988. Somebody's always there to talk to you. As I say every single day, just know that you are loved and appreciated, and our world is a better place because you are here. Please know that and understand that. We love you guys.
Amen to that. We're up next, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.